Okay, so the ISA 99 committee. I noted Adam's comment about thousands of people working in cybersecurity. We have about 500 plus of them, at least in name, on the committee itself. This committee's been in existence since 2002, and as Tim mentioned, I was one of the founding members of that. It's a large, very diverse group of people representing virtually all industry sectors. But if you've been involved in standards, you know that 500 members is an impressive number, but you're lucky if you get 10% of those actually actively contributing to the standards. But you know, that's just the general rule of thumb. Let me ask the audience, make this a little bit interactive, just by a show of hands, how many people or at least have some passing familiarity with the 62443 standards? Excellent, excellent, very good. So this slide just talks about the scope. When we first formed the committee back in 2002, we deliberately cast our scope very, very wide and in a very ambitious way. But we did it to, rather than try to draw a circle around all of the possible applications that this standard might find its way eventually into, we elected rather to do look at it from a consequence base and say that industrial automation and control systems whose compromise would result or could result in any or all of the following situations. And I'll just let you read those very quickly, but you'll see that they range everything from safety to environmental protection to economic loss and all sorts of things in between. Because as we know, those of us that work in this space, it's the consequence that's really important. And if you're an asset owner, as I was for many years, worked for an asset owner for many years, the focus there is on what could go wrong. And there's a very strong parallel with safety, for example, and as was pointed out earlier, things happen, to paraphrase the old term, use a more polite version, things happen. And what you really want to do is be prepared for them when they do happen and minimize and mitigate the consequences. As you can see, even violation of regulatory requirements and so forth are included in this. One point I'll make just in passing, as I said, when we went into this effort, we deliberately focused on consequences, which immediately says to you, who knows, we may be surprised here later on where some of these standards are going to be used. And lo and behold, one of the areas that's emerging right now that's gaining quite a bit of traction is the adoption and application of the 62443 series in the medical industry, particularly in medical devices and testing equipment, which is certainly not something that we would have anticipated back in 2002. But if you take that first bullet and paraphrase it slightly, it's about personnel safety. That's one example of where the standards are being applied in areas that we never would have expected. A quick point on terminology. ISA 99 is our committee. Our standards were originally labeled ISA 99 standards, as was the convention. But we very quickly formed a relationship with the IEC and an agreement such that our standards would be, in a sense, co-released by the IEC at the same time. And as a matter of doing that, we renamed our standards. So now the committee is ISA 99 and the standards are 62443, as if this whole area were not confusing enough. They are being developed by three groups. The ISA 99 committee is doing the bulk of the work. The IEC Technical Committee 65 Working Group 10 is working on behalf of IEC, is working on a specific standard which actually is about to be formalized. It's in the IEC processes now for release as an international standard. And then last but certainly not least, we're working very closely with ISO and making sure that our series of standards are a logical industrial control system complement to the broader IT standards represented by the ISO 27000 series. We certainly don't want to be inconsistent with those, nor do we want to duplicate that effort needlessly. This just talks about some of the other partners that we work with, both with internal to the ISA standards organization, as well as externally. Some of these you probably recognize. The ISA 84 committee, which again has IEC equivalent standards in process safety, and around the loop, you can see IEC, wireless technology for ISA 100. I'll mention very quickly ISA Secure, The Standards Compliance Institute, ISKI, is working on a set of compliance, basically a compliance regimen for the 62443 series. So we work very closely with them so that they know what the committee is coming out with, and the committee benefits from what they learn as they work on compliance. I am the actual liaison between ISKI and the committee, which just gives me another few conference calls a week to attend. Sometimes I wonder how I have found time to work. Some of my Dow colleagues in the audience probably have the same thought. But this is basically the core of this presentation, and I think it's. I've only got a couple of slides that follow this, but basically, if you forget everything else I've said, remember this picture. You can find this picture on the committee website, which is isa99.isa.org, and this should come up on the very top page. And it shows the 13 standards, yes, I said 13 standards that make up the series, and the status of each one, ranging from published and under revision to, in the upper right-hand corner, a technical report 1-4, which is still sort of the gleam in the eye stage. It's planned, but has not really fully started. The good news is most of these are available in some form, in a very near complete draft, if not a final approved standard. I would be remiss on behalf of my colleagues on the committee if I didn't make a shameless plug and say that we're always looking for more help. So if you have a passion for this, or if you think that we're going in the wrong direction, if you don't like something you've seen, by all means speak up. ISA conducts an open, consensus-based standards development process, which means all opinions are welcome. All meetings are open, and all of our material is generally available. You can commit time to provide content, or you can just review and comment. As I said, we try to cast the net as widely as we possibly can. At the same time, or along the same lines, if standards development is not your cup of tea, I would ask you to work with us on promotion and advocacy. Oh, sorry. Somebody should have said, I can't hear you. and help us promote and advance technology and practices in this space. The next slide is the contact slide. So as you can see, we've tried to be as open and approachable as absolutely possible. We have the wiki site that I mentioned earlier. It is a wiki, by the way. So the public side of our site, if you're so inclined, you could actually, if you don't like something, you can change it. I mean, you know, we'll obviously reserve the right to disagree, but it is meant to be as collaborative as possible. We do have a Twitter handle, which is not terribly widely used, but you know, now and then we'll reach out with something on that. And then Jim Gilson and I are the committee co-chairs, and then there's also a so-called general or headless email account, isa99chair@gmail.com, which you can reach us. And then our long-serving and long-tolerant staff member, Charlie Robinson, has been with us since the beginning when we formed the committee. And I'm remiss, I made a mistake here and did not put Ileana's name, we have an additional, Ileana Brazda is an additional member that's of ISA staff that's helping us out now. So you can use these points of contact to reach out to us and get more information. And with that, I think I've actually finished a little bit early. So thank you very much, and I hope that during the Q&A we'll have some questions about the committee and our work. Thanks.